Stranded Woman in Need. Poor Single Dad's Heartwarming Act reveals the judge who changed his life. Jack woke up to the sound of birds chirping outside, a gentle reminder of another day in the cozy Midwest town where he lived. He rubbed his eyes, tethered to the memories of his late wife, Sarah, who always had a playful sparkle in her eyes. He glanced at the small frame on the nightstand, their wedding photo, and a tight chest filled with both sorrow and strength washed over him. He jumped from bed and stepped into the living room, where his spirited daughter Lily was already buzzing with energy. "Morning, Daddy!" she shouted, her wild curls bouncing as she raced toward him. Her laughter filled the space, lightening the weight on his heart. Jack scooped her up, planting a kiss on her cheek. "What should we conquer today?" he asked, the determination to give her a bright future shining in his eyes. Despite the tight budget stretched by rising costs and dead-end jobs, he was resolute. He was not just surviving, he was thriving, with Lily as his anchor. The sun rose higher as they ventured out into the vibrant local streets, the air heavy with the buzzing energy of summer. As they strolled, counting the flowers and playing games with passing clouds, Jack spotted a sleek car by the roadside. A young woman, seemingly out of place, opened the hood with a distressed expression. Without hesitation, Jack pulled over, embodying that classic neighborly spirit. He approached the woman cautiously, examining the car with her. "Looks like it's more than just a flat tire," he said, noticing the worry in her eyes. She introduced herself as Emma, a high-powered lawyer from the city, now stranded in a small town. Jack was struck by her determination, a flicker of hope igniting within him. They laughed as they poked around her engine, the connection between them feeling unusually warm despite their hardships. As days turned into weeks, their friendship blossomed amid spirited debates about community events and sprinklers splashing in the hot sun. However, it wasn't long before Emma's quest for a community center hit harsh resistance. Local voices, steeped in prejudice, slammed her funding proposal. Jack felt the pull of empathy. He thought of his own experiences, facing bullies who labeled him just another poor kid. He'd fought so hard to be seen beyond his circumstances, but as Emma faced backlash, he felt his heart race. "I'll stand with you," he declared, igniting a fire within that called on his past to bolster the present. Just when they thought they could make significant progress, fate had another twist in store. Jack encountered the local judge, a man whose kindness once lifted Jack during his darkest days. Their exchange was like a spark in the pitch-black night, illuminating hope anew. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Emboldened, Jack gathered the courage to join Emma at the town hall meeting, where old and young alike clashed over their visions for the community's future. Voices soared, anger flaring. He could feel their shared resolve surge like a current as he stood at her side, heart pounding with the urgency of change. Could they not only challenge the prejudice, but also redefine what community truly means? With every ounce of strength, Jack felt a flicker of courage radiate from within, not only for him and Emma, but for their town too. As they prepared to confront the storm, Jack knew they were teetering on the edge of an incredible journey, one that might just reshape their very lives. Would they be able to rise above the storm swirling around them and to finally find their voices amidst all the noise? The town hall buzzed with an atmosphere thick enough to cut with a knife. Jack took a deep breath, glancing at Emma beside him. Her resolute gaze spoke volumes, igniting a spark of determination within him. They stepped inside, greeted by murmurs and skepticism. The crowd was packed, faces painted with doubt or anger, rooted firmly in their beliefs. Jack could almost taste the tension in the air. He squeezed Emma's hand, a silent promise of support. Tonight they would need each other more than ever. The mayor, a long-time resident with an equally long list of old-school opinions, opened the meeting. "Welcome, everyone. We're here to discuss the community proposal for the center. His voice dripped with condescension. "I hope we can come to a sensible resolution without drama." Jack caught Emma's eye, her brow slightly furrowed. They had spent weeks preparing her proposal, pouring their hearts into it. He could see the weight of the potential rejection hanging over her, but there was no way they'd back down now. When it was Emma's turn to speak, she approached the podium with a calm confidence. "Thank you for the opportunity to present our vision for the community center," she began, her voice steady. "This isn't just about funding. It's about creating a safe space for everyone, a place for our children to learn and grow." As she talked, Jack felt pride swell in his chest. Emma's passion ignited the room, and for a moment, the crowd's resistance started to fade. She painted visions of events, gatherings, and opportunities, the unity they could achieve as a community. Hope flickered in the eyes of a few audience members. But then came the backlash. An elder stood, his voice booming through the space. "This city was built on traditional values. We have no need for yet another place to waste tax dollars. Why should we support something that might disrupt our way of life?" The tension snapped like a rubber band and dissent echoed. Jack's heart raced. His mind scrambled for words, but they eluded him. Emma stood beside him, her eyes unwavering, and Jack's heart swayed. Just then, the judge who had once shown him kindness entered, his presence quieting the room instantly. Everyone turned to him, sensing that he might sway the tide. Jack felt a pang of nostalgia, remembering how the judge had stood up for him in his youth when the world felt overwhelming and dark. After a moment of silence, the judge cleared his throat. "I've seen the impact of strong community engagement, and I believe it can inspire growth rather than disrupt it." The crowd held its breath. "Imagine a place where our kids can play, where neighbors can share their stories and talents." Jack was amazed as the judge's words wrapped around the room like a blanket, soothing the harsh edges. The elder scoffed, but Jack could see cracks forming in the opposition. Emma clenched Jack's hand tightly, her eyes wide with hope. With each moment that passed, a palpable change was brewing within the crowd as more began to nod along, sparked by the judge's words. Just when it seemed they had a chance to turn the tide, a voice rang out from the back, one filled with hostility. "It's about time we stop catering to new ideas and focus on what works." Jack felt a thunderous ache in his chest. Fear began to creep in. What if they couldn't overcome this? Would they be met with disappointment once again? He glanced at Emma, and the fire in her expression reassured him. They were in this together. They had to push through. As Jack took a deep breath, ready to speak, the crowd quieted. All eyes were on him, waiting for a message of hope. What words would he choose to rise above the doubts? Would this moment define them, or would it be lost amid the noise? Still holding on to Emma's hand, Jack found his voice. "We have a choice to make." The words tumbled out, unraveling emotions that had been tightly knitted. "We can evolve, adapt, and build something beautiful together. Or we can stay stuck in the past." The room shifted, whispers flickering to life as Jack felt the urge of vulnerability push him forward. He paused, and the air hummed with possibility. Could this be the moment when everything would change? Would they embrace hope and leave their fears behind, or retreat back to safe shadows? The community's heart was beating, and Jack felt it in his own. It was time to unite or fall apart. As he looked into Emma's eyes, determined to give everything they had, the question lingered in the air. Would this community finally choose connection over division? Jack's heart raced as he scanned the audience, feeling the weight of their anticipation. Every face held a story, every pair of eyes a different fear or hope. "Imagine," he continued, "a place where neighbors share more than just the same street, but where they share laughter, support, and dreams. A center that lifts us up rather than divides us." The intensity of his voice grew as he poured his soul into the words, but the storm of opposition continued to brew. Shifts in posture, crossed arms, and whispers of disbelief echoed through the room. A nagging fear knotted in Jack's stomach. What if they weren't ready for this? What if they couldn't see the possibilities? Emma leaned closer, her breath warm against his ear. "Jack, just speak from your heart. They need to hear that." "Right," he thought, gripping the podium tighter. "We need to share our truth. Look," he started again, softer now, allowing his vulnerability to seep through. I get it. Change is scary. We've all felt the weight of tradition. I've been there. I've lost hope. I've starved for community. As he shared a story from his own past, about how isolation had echoed in his life as a single father, a change rippled through the crowd. Voices quieted, eyes widened in recognition. Jack continued, "But I realized something. We can't build a community on nostalgia alone. We need a future, and that future starts here, together." He gestured, acknowledging the faces before him. This center is not just bricks and mortar, it's a promise that our kids can grow up feeling safe, that they can share their passions and talents, a promise that we can all come together, united in our strengths. A woman in the front row nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. That small gesture ignited a new wave of hope in Jack. He pressed on, motivated by the connections forming around him. This is our chance, friends. Imagine the children running through those doors, laughter echoing in their hearts. Imagine the potlucks, the workshops, the games. Suddenly the former elder rose again, this time not with anger but apprehension. "But what about our current resources? Who will fund this?" "We will," Jack declared, an unexpected wave of courage swelling within him. "It starts with us. We have talents, ideas, and passion. Together, we can fund it through community events, local businesses, and donations. We can take charge of our own future." He could feel the energy shift as a hum of conversation rippled through the assembly. The mayor shifted uncomfortably, feeling the tide turn. Jack caught Emma's gaze, and silently, he pleaded for strength. She smiled back, and he felt emboldened. "In our hearts, we know what this town can be," Jack urged. "Let's not stand in fear of what we cannot understand. Let's open our hearts to the potential around us." A murmur rose, swelling like a rising tide. It was as if a wave of warmth began to sweep over the discontent, cracking the defenses that had kept them apart. People began to nod, slowly at first, then with increasing speed. There was a glimmer of hope that perhaps, just perhaps, they could come together. But just as the atmosphere began to lighten, a loud thud hit Jack's ear. A figure from the back stood powerfully, an unexpected presence stretching over the audience like a dark cloud. "You really believe this would work?" a voice boomed, sharper than a whip. "You think we can simply create unity out of thin air?" Jack's heart sank. This was the moment everything could unravel. Was the judge's earlier support enough to back them amid the storm brewing at the back of the room? With the air thickening again, Jack needed to act fast. How could he ignite that flicker of hope once more? Would he find the words to turn doubt into belief? As he steadied himself for what came next, the question loomed. How far would he go to fight for their vision? Jack's pulse pounded in his ears as he faced the looming presence of the voice from the back. The figure was a man, large and imposing, standing defiantly with arms crossed over his chest. In that moment, doubt washed over Jack once more. He glanced at Emma, who gave him an encouraging nod as though saying, "You can do this." The man stepped forward, challenging Jack's charisma with skepticism. "You can't just wave a wand and pretend that everyone will magically get along. Look around. We've been divided for generations." His tone dripped with disdain. Jack took a breath, feeling the weight of the room's silence pressing down. He remembered what Emma had said. "Speak from your heart." So he did. "You're right," he began, his voice steady. "We've been divided, and it's been painful. But what if we could change that narrative? What if we could unite against that very division?" With every word, Jack felt lighter. It starts with acknowledging our pain, our history. It's not about erasing what's happened, it's about building a bridge moving forward. We won't get there overnight, but every small step counts, doesn't it? Eyes shifted in the crowd. Some softened, others still skeptical. Jack pressed on. "Think about it. We're not just trying to create a center. We're trying to create a community that's inclusive, that listens to each voice, even the ones that feel unheard. Together, we can amplify our struggles and our joys." Suddenly, a woman from the side stood up. She had a familiar face, a local teacher whom many respected. "I was hesitant at first," she said, her voice quivering slightly. "But Jack's right. I've seen the isolation in my own students, and it breaks my heart. Our town has so much potential. If we don't try, we'll never know what we can become." A ripple of murmurs started to circulate through the audience, like waves crashing against a rocky shore. Jack felt a flicker of hope once again. "See?" he said, gesturing toward her. "This isn't just about me, it's about every one of us joining forces. Imagine the treasures we could unlock as neighbors, as friends. It's time to turn those whispers of doubt into echoes of possibility." But the large man wasn't done. "And how do you expect to get the funds? How do you promise us this will work?" he insisted, eyes narrowed. "I don't promise it will work perfectly," Jack replied, meeting his gaze without flinching. "But I promise that together we'll put in our time, our skills, our dedication. We'll fundraise, create events, draw in local businesses. People want to invest in community. They just need to see that their efforts will be worthwhile." People began to lean forward, interest peaked. Jack caught a glimpse of the mayor nodding uncertainly, as if he weighed the possibilities in his mind. Jack felt a surge of energy flow through him. This is not about one person or one idea. It's about rallying our collective spirits. If we stand together, we can restore what has been lost. Gasps began to rise in the crowd, some thrilled, some fearful, but all alive with the realization that this conversation mattered. "We will falter, we will face challenges, but if we stay committed, I believe in us," he said passionately. And just as the tide seemed to turn further, another voice, high-pitched and fearful, broke through the crowd. "But what if it all falls apart? What if it doesn't work?" It was a familiar voice, one filled with both prescient worry and hope. Jack's heart dropped. The doubts and fears of the community hung heavy in the air. Could he convince them to dream bigger? Would they stand behind him in this quest? That question lingered, tremulous and uncertain, ready for a response. As Jack hesitated, the room thick with tension, a singular thought arose. Were they truly ready to weigh their fears against their hopes? Would they step into the unknown together, or crumble back into silence? Jack looked into the sea of faces, each one a mix of uncertainty and longing. He could see the fear of failure etched on their features, the large man's glaring skepticism, the anxious teacher biting her lip, and others whispering amongst themselves. He sensed their collective heartbeat, mirroring his own, a rhythm of worry that threatened to drown out his message. Taking a step closer to the audience, he raised his voice once more. "I know it's scary, it's easier to stay where we are. Change means risking what little stability we have. But think about it. What kind of legacy do we want to leave for our children? A legacy of division, or one of unity?" As the words hung in the air, Jack felt the flicker of hope ignite again, like a stubborn match sparking in the wind. "You all have stories. Stories of struggle, pain, redemption. But you also have strengths and dreams just waiting to be shared. Imagine a town where we lift each other up instead of tearing each other down." A murmuring began, notes of agreement blending with lingering doubt. Jack caught Emma's gaze again, her steady gaze like an anchor. He drew from her support, letting it fill him with renewed courage. Reaching out to the large man who had questioned him earlier, Jack said, "Sir, what are you passionate about? If we had an event lined up, something you cared about deeply, would you lend your skills to that?" The man blinked, caught off guard. "I craft beer. I brew on the side." Jack smiled, the warmth spreading through the crowd. "Then let's organize a festival. A craft beer festival that not only showcases your talent, but brings local businesses, artists, and families together. Everyone could contribute something. It could start dialogues, spark connections." Excited chatter began to bubble up around them. Jack could see others whispering to one another, considering the possibilities. Emma stood up next, her voice cutting through the noise. "And think about the children. They need to see us come together, to experience community firsthand. We could set up activities where kids are involved in understanding what we're trying to build. They can learn empathy, friendship, the values we want to instill." The audience buzzed with newfound energy. Questions flew around, from how to approach local businesses to concerns about logistics. Jack felt a surge of warmth wash over him. They were not just talking about changes, they were imagining them. Yet, as the discussions deepened, Jack noticed a shadow flicker across Mary, the teacher's face. When he turned to her, her smile was uncertain. "And what if we try and fail?" Jack took a deep breath. Then we learn. We pick each other up and keep going. This is about more than one event. It's about rebuilding trust and fostering hope where it hasn't existed before. Together we'll create a safety net. No one falls alone. Silence fell for a brief moment as his words sank in. Fear still lingered, but hope was gaining ground. Then, in the back, a rising voice piped up. What if we can't keep the momentum? What if it all just fizzles out? The crowd turned, anticipation hanging thick in the air. Jack felt both their trepidation and yearning for change pushing down upon him. He saw their fears, but also the ember of possibility slowly igniting in their eyes. Every challenge carried with it a chance, the chance to unite and heal. He took a step back, letting the weight of his convictions settle as he posed a question that hung heavier than before. What if we chose to be brave together? What if we took that leap into the unknown? Jack paused, looking out across the crowd. What if the real risk is doing nothing at all? The room fell silent, absorbing his challenge, as the essence of something profound began to take form. Would they rise to meet the moment, or shrink back into the safety of their doubts? He sat on the cusp of a decision, waiting to see if the tether of their shared hope would pull them forward. Would they take that leap with him? A heavy stillness settled in the room, an almost palpable tension hanging as Jack searched the sea of faces. Hope mingled with uncertainty, but it was the fear that kept the crowd tethered, defensive against the wave of possibility he offered. He knew he needed to push through that doubt to turn it into determination. What if, he said, his voice softening but steady, we gather once a month, just to check in with each other, to talk, share a meal, and keep our dreams alive. Let's create something bigger than ourselves, a support system where everyone has a role. Emma nodded eagerly, her eyes glimmering with excitement. Yes, and we can use those gatherings to showcase local talent, even have storytelling nights for the kids. The crowd responded. Some began murmuring acceptance, while others exchanged glances of tentative hope. They could see this turning into something vibrant, alive and meaningful, rather than the routine melancholy that too often accompanied their days. But what about logistics? A voice piped up, slicing through the budding enthusiasm. A woman with bright red glasses looked skeptical. How will we fund this? How will we even organize it? Jack opened his mouth to respond when another person, a gentleman with a scruffy beard, chimed in. What if we pooled our resources? I have a friend at the local grocery store. They might donate food or supplies. We could all chip in. Yes, that's it. Jack felt a rush of excitement. If we focus on what we can give rather than what we lack, we'll find a way. Let's brainstorm ways we can support each other. The atmosphere shifted, warmth filling the space like sunlight breaking through clouds. Solutions started flying around, ideas for collaboration, for merging talents, and even for finding sponsorship from local entrepreneurs who shared their vision. But as momentum built, Mary's apprehensive expression returned. I appreciate all your ideas, but no one ever talks about the disappointment we might feel if it doesn't pan out. What then? Her question hung in the air, casting a shadow over the brightness that had emerged. Jack's heart raced, a knot of fear tightening in his chest. He thought of every time he'd doubted himself, every error and every challenge. Disappointment is part of life, he said firmly. But so is resilience. If we have to face it, we do it together. We learn from each misstep and we keep going. The value is in the effort, in the togetherness, not just the outcome. Gradually, heads began to nod. Jack felt a swell of emotion welling inside. This was more than just about organizing events. It was about creating a community that embraced each other in both triumphs and failures. The sense of camaraderie swelled around him as voices melded together, sharing dreams and concerns. Laughter bubbled up, tension dissipating as people traded smiles, and Jack could practically see the walls around their hearts start to crumble. But just as he felt victory teasing the edges of his fingertips, a small voice pierced through the chatter. In the back corner, a girl, maybe 10 years old, was standing. She looked tentative, her hands twisting together. I've never had friends. What if they don't like me? The room quieted again, hearts collectively aching at her vulnerability. Jack stared at her, seeing not just fear but the weight of all the children in this town who needed to feel accepted. He took a step toward her, determination driving each movement. "If you give them a chance, I promise they will like you, because we're all just trying to figure it out together. And you'll never be alone in this." As the girl's expression brightened, Jack saw the spark of hope igniting across the entire room. If they were brave enough to step out of their fears, they could weave a tapestry built on connection. But just as the ripple of positivity was washing over everyone, a familiar voice from behind broke the momentum. "What if you're wrong about this, Jack?" The crowd turned, some faces reflecting confusion while others mirrored intrigue. Jack recognized the voice instantly, an old rival, someone who had always questioned his every idea. Suddenly, uncertainty rushed back in. Jack took a deep breath, meeting the piercing gaze of his opponent. "What if I'm wrong?" he echoed, "but what if I'm right?" Silence fell again, the air thick with anticipation. The crowd was now holding its breath, waiting to see how this next chapter of their journey would unfold. Jack felt a weight pressing down on him as he faced his rival, the challenge hanging in the air like a storm cloud threatening rain. The skeptical eyes in the room were like a spotlight, bright and unforgiving. But he refused to let doubt take root. "Let's think about it this way," he said, trying to inject warmth into his voice. "What's the worst that can happen? We come together, we try, and if things don't go as planned, at least we have memories of the effort." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. He could see some nodding, but others remained anchored in apprehension. Finally, the rival spoke again, this time softer. "And if it falls apart? What does that do to us?" That was a fair question. Jack swallowed hard, feeling the knot in his stomach twist tighter. "If it falls apart, we do it together too. We lift each other up and move forward. That's what community is about." There was a pause, and he could feel the tension still dancing in the air. But in the eyes of the girl he had just spoken to, he found a glimmer of something. Trust, perhaps. Could this small spark set the fire they needed to change their town? Just then, Emma stepped into the light. "I think what Jack is saying resonates. What if we choose to believe in each other? Just one little leap of faith could lead to something amazing." Her voice, clear and confident, carried through the room, softening the edges of fear. Encouraged by Emma's simple but powerful words, Jack glanced around, watching as more faces began to brighten, first with curiosity and then with excitement. His heart surged, fueled by the rising tide of hope. The once quiet discussions escalated into animated chatter as people tossed out ideas for gatherings, themed nights, art exhibitions, even community gardening days. Suddenly, a voice from across the room called out, "We could hold a bake sale. My mom bakes the best cookies." Laughter erupted, completely filling the room, erasing the heavy undertones from before. Jack found himself moving through the crowd, feeling the pulse of newfound energy. He was swept up in conversations, dropping little sparks of encouragement. "Great idea!" "Yes, we should do that." But as the laughter filled the air, Jack couldn't help but steal glances at his rival. Still standing off to the side, arms crossed tightly. Part of him wanted to sway him, to pull him into the circle of camaraderie forming right in front of them. "Let's not forget," Jack said, raising his voice slightly to catch everyone's attention, "this is for everyone. Even if you have doubts, your ideas are welcome here." The rival's expression faltered for a moment, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his face. Was that the first crack in his steely demeanor? Jack took a step closer. "Your perspective matters. Help us make this even better." A beat passed, and the crowd held its breath again, anticipating the stranger's next move. Finally, he unfolded his arms, standing a bit straighter. "Fine, but you're going to need someone to keep things grounded. Maybe I'd be willing to help if it means managing expectations." Cheers erupted from the crowd, and Jack's heart raced with excitement. This was the moment he had been waiting for, a shared purpose bound by unity instead of competition. Just when Jack thought they were finally on the brink of something special, a shadow passed over his face. Would this truly hold together? Could the darkness of past disappointments return to tear them apart? Then, as if sensing his worry, Emma's voice cut through his thoughts. "Let's create a wall for our dreams. We'll all write down what we want to see come from this. Let's literally visualize it together." The crowd buzzed and Jack's spirit soared. He had no idea what lay ahead, But one thing was certain, they were ready to take that leap together. As they gathered around, everyone eagerly scribbled on colored cards and pinned them to the wall, sharing aspirations and fears alike. Yet Jack's heart raced with a new emotion. There was so much at stake. Would the vision they crafted together survive the trials that lay ahead? In that moment, he realized that the real journey was only just beginning. The wall started to fill with cards, vibrant colors flaring against the plain backdrop. Each scribbled wish seemed to pulse with hope and fear, the energy in the room thickening like the sweet scent of fresh cookies baking in the oven. Jack couldn't help but smile as he watched a little girl write, "I want a playground where we can all play together." "Look at that," he exclaimed, pointing to her brightly colored card. "What a fantastic idea. We could even have a playground build day, bringing everyone in the community together." The crowd erupted into cheers once more, a wave of positivity rolling through the room. It was electrifying. The rival, now on the sidelines but not quite as distant, nodded in agreement. Jack wanted to capture this moment forever. The laughter, the collaboration, the warmth of newfound friendships. He knew these moments would become memories they could cherish, a bond formed in the battle against isolation and doubt. Yet, just beneath the surface, Jack could feel a knot trying to tighten in his chest again. Every great journey has its hurdles. He could sense it lurking. Would they truly be able to keep this momentum? Emma, now sharing her own thoughts, laughed as she pinned her card next to the little girl's. "I want a community garden where we can grow food together and learn from each other. Imagine the harvest festival we could have." "Yes," Jack shouted, buoyed by her enthusiasm. "We could all pitch in, share recipes, and celebrate our victories, big and small." Then he turned towards his rival, still watching, the corners of his mouth twitching in response to their excitement. "What do you think? Any ideas for your card?" The rival paused, a shadow crossing his face. "I don't know. This all feels a bit too good to be true." His voice wavered, and for a moment the air felt heavy again. Jack stepped closer, emboldened. "What if we made it our mission to surprise each other? For every challenge we face, we come back tenfold with our support. No one person can do this alone." The rival looked at him squarely now. "You really believe that?" "Absolutely." Jack's heart raced. "Every single person has something to offer. Let's take that leap of faith together." The rival finally stepped toward the wall, took a card and wrote something down. The crowd fell silent, and all eyes were on him as he pinned it to the wall. "I want a space where every voice is heard, where we don't shy away from the hard stuff," he said, looking around. A mix of reactions fluttered through the room, surprise, apprehension, and then, finally, smiles. Jack felt his heart leap. They had crossed a threshold. As the conversations resumed, Jack silently admired the wall of dreams. He didn't know what shape these ideas would take or how they could turn into reality. Doubt still whispered in his mind, faint and persistent. But just when they thought they could navigate the waters ahead, the door swung open. A woman rushed inside, a storm brewing in her expression. She looked lost and frantic, her eyes scanning the room full of laughing faces. "Excuse me," she called, desperation coating her voice. "Can anyone help? I'm stranded and my car broke down. I have no way to get home." The laughter faded, and all eyes turned towards her. The energy shifted sharply. Where hope had swelled only moments ago, uncertainty flooded in. Some stepped back unsure. Others murmured among themselves, but Jack's heart raced faster. What should they do? This was a moment that could either fracture the newfound unity or solidify it. Jack could almost hear the ticking clock of uncertainty echoing in the silence. He took a deep breath and stepped forward. "All right, who's with me? We can figure this out together." As he looked around, he could feel their eyes on him, weighing hope against hesitation. Would they rally behind him once more? With the storm of doubt brewing just beyond the door, Jack realized he had just opened another chapter. Would they rise to the occasion, or would fear shatter their fragile alliance? The room hung in a tense silence, the woman's plea hanging like smoke in the air. Jack felt a wave of urgency churn within him. How could they go from dreaming of a community garden to standing still in the face of desperate need? "Guys, come on," he urged, scanning the crowd. "This is what we've been talking about. We need to be a community, not just in our dreams, but in real life too." Slowly, people began to stir. A man in the back raised his hand. "I can drive, I have a truck, but do you think it's safe?" Jack felt his heart lift, but also braced himself for the inevitable doubts. "We won't know unless we try." Emma stepped forward, her brow furrowed but determined. "I'll go with you. If we can get her home, we can figure out what to do next." "I'll come too," shouted another voice from the crowd, a mother with a toddler on her hip. "What kind of community are we if we turn our backs now?" Jack's chest swelled with hope, but he also felt those pesky doubts creeping back. Would this be enough? The rival, still processing, took a breath and joined the group forming around Jack. "I'll stay here and hold down the fort, just in case something goes wrong, okay?" "That's a good idea," Jack replied, grateful for his unexpected support. "We'll call you if we need backup." As the small group gathered their belongings and headed toward the exit, Jack caught the woman's gaze. Her eyes, wide and shimmering with gratitude, held a flicker of something deeper. A connection sparkled briefly between them, a shared human experience, raw and unfiltered. It reminded him that their walls of dreams could easily become walls of fear. Outside, the wind had picked up, swirling leaves in chaotic dance. The sun was setting, casting a golden hue over the streets, but Jack felt the weight of the shadows creeping in. Each step towards the parking lot resonated with the potential for something greater. They approached the broken car, a sad sight with its hood propped open, and a stream of steam creating a haze in the air. The woman stood beside it, looking defeated. "I really thought it would make it another month," she murmured, her voice catching. Jack stepped closer. "You're not alone anymore. We're here to help." After talking briefly, the group divided tasks. Emma, the mother, and Jack worked to assess the problem, while the man with the truck connected with the stranded woman, offering reassurance. "Can you drive?" he asked gently, attempting to gauge her emotional state. "Only a few blocks," she replied, a mix of uncertainty and hope washing over her features. As they began to work, Jack felt a flicker of something more than just community in the air, a sense of purpose. The light-hearted laughter that had once filled the gathering hall had transformed into something deeper. In that moment, they weren't just a group of seekers dreaming of better days. They were united in a shared goal, binding themselves through the act of helping one another. Jack took a step back as he tightened a connection, watching the scene unfold. A soft smile broke through the chaotic, ongoing moment, every face filled with care and support. But just before they could celebrate any progress, before they could feel like they truly made a difference, the car rumbled ominously, sputtering before a heavy silence fell. "That didn't sound good," Emma whispered, her eyes wide with concern. Jack felt his stomach drop. If the car wouldn't start, what would they do next? Would their unity crumble under this unexpected weight? "Okay," he said, resisting the urge to panic. "Let's think this through, together." They all looked at each other, the fear and uncertainty lingering like shadows. Would their hope and newfound bond hold strong against the looming challenges? In that uncertain moment, new possibilities seemed to stretch out in front of them like winding paths through a dark forest. Just how far would they go for each other? Jack steadied himself. Days spent rallying for a brighter future suddenly felt overshadowed by the pressing reality around them. The car sighed, a mechanical whimper, and he realized just how vulnerable they all were, how easy it was to slip back into fear. "Let's break it down," he encouraged. "What do we need?" He looked around, gauging the urgency reflected in the faces before him. "We need tools," Emma chimed in, her determination spilling over. "We need to figure out what's wrong first." The man with the truck nodded. "I can go get some tools, just need to drive a few blocks to grab them." Enthusiasm sparked. "I'll come with you," another voice piped in. "All right," Jack said, "I'll stay here." He glanced at the stranded woman. Her lips trembled slightly, hope flickering like an uncertain bulb. "Don't worry," he said softly. "We won't let you down." As the two sped off, Jack felt the weight of the moment wrap around him like a blanket. They were all in this together. Emma began examining the engine while he kept the woman company, talking through the worries and fears that filled the silence. "I know how it feels to lose hope," he confessed gently. "But every time you reach out, it means you believe in something better." She nodded, her eyes glistening as they shared a moment of unspoken understanding. Minutes passed, a drumming heartbeat of uncertainty. Jack looked up, watching the sky shift colors. Orange and pink danced through the clouds, hinting that light was coming, no matter how dark things felt. The truck pulled back into view, engines revving as the men hopped out, armed with an array of tools. Each one faced the mystery with renewed energy. "Let's get this girl back on the road," one of the drivers cheered, and others rallied around, filling the air with laughter and banter. Time blurred as they twisted screws and lifted the hood, working together like a well-rehearsed team. With humor lacing their actions, the tension began to evaporate. A few minutes later, Jack's heart raced as Emma shouted, "I think I found the issue. The battery cables are corroded." "Can we fix it?" the woman asked breathlessly, excitement and worry woven together. "Absolutely," Jack replied, adrenaline pumping through his veins. "We've got this." As they worked, they shared more than just tools and techniques. Stories flitted through the air. Each conversation knitted them closer, weaving hearts together in an unexpected thread of friendship. Finally, with a final twist of a wrench and a hopeful glance, Jack turned to the woman. "Okay, stand back a bit." Surging with energy, he hopped into the driver's seat, hands shaking with anticipation. "Ready?" he asked, looking back at them. The crowd nodded eagerly. With a breath, he turned the key. The engine roared back to life, sputtering before settling into a strong, steady purr. Relief rolled over the gathered community, like warm sunlight cutting through the morning mist. Cheers erupted, wrapping around them like a loving embrace. The woman's eyes widened with shock, glistening tears of gratitude spilling down her cheeks. "You did it!" she exclaimed, laughter spilling forth like a waking spring. Jack stepped out of the car, his heart swelling. "No, we did it. Together." Facing the community, he felt an overwhelming warmth settle around him. They were more than a group raging against doubt. They had become a family, supporting each other in real, tangible ways. The woman, now beaming, turned to Jack. "Can I at least treat you all to dinner? It's the least I can do after this." "No, no," Jack protested, waving his arms lightly. "We all had a hand in this. The next dinner is on us." Laughter filled the air again, but it was different this time. It wasn't just playful. It was an understanding, a bond that had been forged in the flames of vulnerability and courage. As they walked back towards the gathering hall, Jack looked out at the sunset, thinking about the wall of dreams where hopes lingered butter-colored against the fading light. They had faced fears together and emerged with more than just a car revived. They had come out strengthened. Turning to Emma, Jack began to see the beauty in their journey as she flashed a warm smile. "This community center will not just be a building, it will be a home for our hearts." "Absolutely," Emma agreed, her laughter mingling with the rest. "And it all starts with moments like this." The path would be long, there would be challenges ahead, but Jack felt a spark of hope that was more than mere optimism. Together, they could move mountains, one step at a time. Fueled by a bond formed in the fire of struggle, this was just the beginning of their story, rich with possibility, unity, and hope. The horizon glowed a little brighter now, and as the first stars blinked into existence, Jack knew they were on a journey worth taking. And so, with hearts full, laughter echoing, and a renewed sense of community, they stepped forward into the unknown. Do you want to be part of this journey? You need to subscribe now to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like right now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment below with your thoughts about this incredible transformation. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this inspiring moment. Only true fans understand the power of supporting the channel through these actions.